Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how to write a memoir book. Memoirs are so challenging, but they are so meaningful. They really represent your story in the rawest form. They're really emotionally gripping and powerful and moving, and writing a memoir can really impact others and really resonate with them. They can really, tap into something deep. But before you start writing your story, I want to share some really important tips because memoirs are tough. Memoirs are really challenging, and I want you to write the best memoir possible, so stay tuned for some awesome tips. By the end of this video, you will learn how to unlock what you want to say in your book, how to find your deeper meaning, and how to be vulnerable in a way that will help your readers. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. Memoirs are personal narratives. They are you-driven. There's a lot of different genres of books. Business books, for example, leadership books, biographies. There's so many other books that you can write about people, even involving your story, that don't feel very personal. Memoirs are super personal. Right here personal. They know warts and all, everything about you by reading this book. And it can be very challenging when you're writing a memoir to go that deep on things that are that gripping and that delicate and that difficult for you. So you really need to figure out what you want to say when you write a memoir. What do you want to say? This isn't just about here's my life story, but what are the lessons of my life story? What are the 2 or 3 things that I want to carry forward? When I think about memoirs, I ultimately think of my friend Emma Grace. She's a musician who's struggled with ups and downs in her life, and over the past couple years has been recovering from a traumatic brain injury. And over the course of time that Emma and I have worked together on her book, in the early going, it was very focused on telling her story. Here's my story from A to B to C to D. It really was only over the course of, 6 months of working together so that we really unlocked what her message was. And it was much deeper than just her story. And because of that, it shifted the narrative for her. It shifted the viewpoint, the lens through which we tell her story. So it's not just about her life, it's about very specific things, universal things that really relate and connect to other people as well. So it was really neat to see that writing process come through where it wasn't just about telling the story of her life, it was about telling the story of her life through very specific, detailed events and ups and downs and struggles she faced. And it came out so much more powerful in the end because of that. A huge point of memoirs is finding your deeper meaning. Why are you writing this book? There has to be a reason why, because you're going to put yourself through hell to write a memoir. Just saying it up front. You are going to put yourself through hell to write a memoir. You're going to revisit the worst days of your life again and again and again, which is horrible. So I want you to be clear about that from the beginning, from the get-go. You're going to revisit some tough times. There needs to be a reason that you want to do this, not just self-punishment, but that someone can learn from this, that someone can be inspired by your story. Someone can take your story and build on it from themselves, that it can help them recognize that they can make it through some tough times too. You need to be unflinchingly real with yourself as you write a memoir. And that's not an easy thing. You're going to resurface all the stuff that you've tried to bury over the years. That is not an easy thing. So, going into it, I want you to be completely clear about that. But to that point, there needs to be a deeper reason for that. It's not just, trauma. It's not just enthusiasm for wanting to revisit the trauma in your life. There's a reason for it. Maybe it's to help the reader feel less alone in their own life, how to help them remember themselves. It could be, how they can feel less alone in their own struggles. Whatever the case may be, there needs to be some reason that you're telling this story beyond just, I want to tell my story for fame, fortune, success, whatever. There's a reason that you're telling your story, and it's ultimately so that others can learn from it in some way. A lot of times when you're telling your life story, the pieces don't always connect. One thing doesn't have to lead to the other. Things randomly just happen. With a memoir, it's important that the pieces connect together, cause and effect. All these things need to lock into place in order for the memoir to be as strong as possible. This isn't just about a random mix of assorted things. It's about understanding things in context, what caused them, and change happening. You really need to lock in those things because again, if this is for the reader benefit and the reader understanding, ultimately, I think it's important for them to be able to see the patterns of your life. So this is really about patterning and sequencing and understanding why the patterns happen the way they do. This isn't just about putting things in order of when they happened. It's about really burrowing deep on yourself and, seeing how everything connects together, how everything fits together. There's reasons why you chose the things that you did in your life. There's a reason why you acted the way you did. So this isn't just about stuff in isolation. It's about understanding the why behind things. The most important thing about memoirs, be vulnerable, unflinchingly vulnerable. I know how uncomfortable that feels to put yourself out there like that. And I know that a lot of times with these YouTube videos, I'm kind of talking on the surface. But I'm speaking openly about that. Like, it's so important for you to be brutally vulnerable, because that's the only way the reader is going to actually learn something. If you gloss over all the hard stuff and just get to how great your life is, no one's going to learn anything from that book, and no one's going to want to read that book. That book is boring. There's nothing great about that book. Even if you're successful, it doesn't matter. Your book isn't going to really inspire people. You want to write a book that inspires and moves people and changes people, that helps them dig deep within themselves. In order to do that, you need to be vulnerable. You need to be really, really, really real. Again, which is tough. My heart goes out to you that you're going to be going through some stuff here, and digging this stuff up. But I will say this, the memoirs I've worked on, the people I've worked with, like Emma Grace, who I've talked about earlier, by being vulnerable and by confronting the stuff in their past, their lives have been enriched. Their lives are better because of working on this book. I can see the change in their lives, the lift in their lives. With Emma, it's her feeling empowerment about her story. She owns her story again. For a long time, she felt like it was, somebody else's, that she was just a participant, that things were just happening. She feels empowered and she feels ownership over her story again. You can't put a price tag on that. And the reason why her journey has been successful in this book is because she was real and vulnerable. By not skirting over the issues, skirting over the frustrations and struggles and disappointments, and even the things that she did wrong, it's allowed her to find healing within her story. Rich Christensen's another example. I worked with Rich, and really successful businessman. In his 40s or 50s, he found out the truth about who he was, about who his parents were. And it really took him on a journey of discovery. And we spent a year and a half unlocking his story and, helping him feel empowered with that. I worked on his book with another writer, and it was so special to see the way that Rich's life was transformed by working on this book and by owning his story and feeling peace and comfort in that again. It's not something that you think about, that I'm going to be vulnerable and dig through the muck of my life and come out the other side happier. But it truly happened. I've seen it happen multiple times. And it's the coolest thing as I'm working on books with people to see that happen, to see that vulnerability coming through in a different way, that their lives are forever changed by the fact that they're confronting the ghosts of the past, confronting the things they did wrong, confronting their frustrations and difficulties and foibles and missteps and blunders. By confronting those things, they can finally get some sense of closure from them. And it's just such an empowering thing. And it's really about writing and rewriting. This isn't just putting the words onto the page and here's the story. It's shaping it, it's molding it, it's rewriting it, it's moving forward from it. Like, writing your memoir draft is the first step. As you get those drafts down, as you get those chapters into place, you can then step back and say, what is the story I'm telling here? By really stepping back and really, taking a look at this from a different perspective, you can then confront the story again and say, okay, where's the story flagging? Where's it weak? Where can I add sensory details? Where can I improve the storytelling? Where can I make this more dynamic? There's so many ways to make a memoir dynamic and to build in these lesson points to help the reader along. So it really does require a lot of deep thought and a lot of effort to revise and move forward from it, because it's not just about the draft, it's about taking the draft and building it and shaping it into the coolest thing, But it's awesome because it's your story. It's your story flipped around. and told in a different way, and your story in a way that's going to help other people. There's nothing more powerful than that. If you're interested in learning more about how to write a memoir book, I would love for you to book a one-on-one strategy call with me at my website. It's goodbookhelp.com. You can click the link below. And I have a link on my site where you can book a one-on-one strategy call. I would love to talk to you about your memoir, the challenges you're going to face during the writing process, my 3 paths forward, and ultimately just want to help you along. Just give you some tips and insights that are going to help you on your way. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely book a call with me on my website. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.